transnational fraud rings, terrorist organizations, nation states, North Korea, nuclear weapons programs funded by our tax dollars, China, Nigeria, Iran, Romania, Russia, not our friends necessarily, that are being funded by taxpayer dollars. Could you give us some examples of how this is happening?
Yeah. So when you think about what happened during the pandemic, $1 trillion was stolen. 70% of that money went overseas. And I can give you some examples. In a Western state, they had more people applying for unemployment insurance benefits than they had individuals over 18. The people that were stealing the money from Romania were using it to facilitate other fraud schemes that include fentanyl, that include doing things to impact our democracy. On the insider threat, right, the first thing you have to say, and my dad was a public servant, is 99% of people that work in the public sector are honest, hardworking individuals. But there are some, and what you need is data and technology to root that out. There were examples during the pandemic. There were some examples even of last week where people got into the Medicaid system in a Western state and stole $50 million in less than 4 months. So you have to have these controls in place, right? These aren't individuals stealing, Mr. Cloud. These are organized criminal groups, both domestic and transnational.
I debate this point because I understand your point, and you and I have a disagreement about these individual district court judges, but when you think about what's happened in this country, millions of people have come in. It's the biggest invasion in the history of the United States. We've never been invaded this way, number one. Scott. These illegal aliens, and they are predatory. It is an incursion, and I would ask you to ask any of the families who've lost loved ones if they think maybe that we are at war with the people who have come here, who have committed violent acts, who have murdered people, who have raped people, who have human trafficked people. It is a disaster what's happened in this country, and the president is trying to pull every lever that's on the books to take care of it, and these individual judges are overstepping. What you're essentially saying is that the president, who is the commander-in-chief, cannot determine when we are being invaded. An individual district court judge is going to decide that? No, thank you.
Can I just ask a simple question? Who gets to decide whether the United States is at war?
The president.
No.
If we're being invaded, I want the commander-in-chief to know.
Scott, no. It's actually the Congress.
You're asking if we're being invaded.
I'm asking.
You want to call Congress and see if we're being invaded?
I'm asking a basic constitutional
We'll be taken over before they ever get to the committee.
Who gets to decide whether the United States is at war? The answer is Congress.
I'm talking about if we're being invaded.
When the president says we're at war, he has to show proof.
At war,
and really what he needs to do is go to Congress.
Well, you guys discussed in the committee. We'll let in another 20
Wait a second, though. I still can't believe this happened with my dad at the hospital. Here is the actual recording I made with my phone.
Hello. Can I ask you a question? My dad's up in the PC room, and when he checked in, the ER doctor was here, said, first question he was asked was, did you take the COVID booster? And then the doctor said not to do it. His neighbor was just admitted to the ICU today. And the first question that doctor asked him was, did you take the COVID booster? And he had taken it Tuesday. And he's asking, in my mind, that the doctor here must know that there's something wrong with the COVID booster.
Sometimes it does cause cardiomyopathy. It basically enlarges the heart. That's usually one of the concerns that why we ask about the vaccines.
You see a lot of people that have that on? Because he asked my dad and my neighbor.
It's a common question we ask everybody. If they've gotten the vaccine, then why? We look at the chest X-ray to see if the heart's in normal relationship. It's one of the side effects that we've seen from the vaccines.
Don't you think a human beings have a right to hear this on the news? And the reason I'm asking is very personal to me. My wife's best friend died on April 6, 2021, in her sleep at age 47, right? And I spent the last 3.5 years, wrestling with all of the people I encounter, because, I never took it. And because our friend died. And it's 3.5 years later, we have heart problems. The ER doc, the first question they ask is, did you take the booster? Right. And 100% of people think that, have you ever seen on the news or the newspaper or from the CDC or the FDA, drives me bananas. It makes me so sad.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, you can fight that good fight. Call your senator. Call the CDC.
That's all I've done for 3.5 years. But here, you guys are on the front lines. The ER doctor. What about him? What's his role in the process, right? What is your role in the process? Like, can you sit here with a good conscience and not call Channel 9 News and like let this go on and on and on? I mean,
hey Jerry, we're done. We're done here. We're done. We're done.
Are we done? Like, what are you gonna escort me out? I mean,
Yeah, we don't need to talk about that. Your personal beliefs are your personal beliefs. That's fine. I don't need to go to Channel 9 and start talking.
I'm just telling you, two people. This is in the last 2 weeks, right?
I know.
You got it? Yeah.
I know. Have a good day.
All right, let's go. All right, thanks, Jerry. Appreciate it. Yeah. Have a good one.
We have ended HHS as the role as the vector, the principal vector in this country for child trafficking. And during the Biden administration, HHS became a collaborator in child trafficking and for sex and for slavery. And we have ended that, and we're very aggressively going out and trying to find these children, 300,000 children that were lost by the Biden administration. And we are...
What's the consensus on parts per million of CO2 in the atmosphere?
About 406, 406 today.
Okay, 406. Are you aware of
350 being the level that scientists have said is danger.
Okay, are you aware? 350 is dangerous. Wow. Are you aware that since mammals have walked the planet, the average has been over 1,000 parts per million?
Yeah, but we weren't walking the planet. Let me just share with you that we now know that definitively at no point during the past 800,000 years has atmospheric CO2 been as high as it is today.
The reason you chose 800,000 years ago is because for 200 million years before that, it was greater than it is today. And I'm going to submit for the record.
Yeah, but there weren't human beings. I mean, there was a different world, folks. We didn't have 7 billion people.
So how did it get to 2,000 parts per million if we humans weren't here?
Because there were all kinds of geologic events happening on Earth which spewed up.
Did geology stop when we got on the planet?
Mr. Chairman, this is just not a serious conversation.
Your testimony is not serious. I agree.